Hobbled software technology. Our software doesn't work. It's, I have basically 12 points of things that we can look at to see how bad our technology is in software development. I have about 50 years experience, so I've gone through all of these quite extensively, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write a system that eliminates these, and I have about 800 other issues, but these are the primary ones that we all face in our everyday lives as we try and use computers to do our work, perform new technologies using the computer. And we have difficulty in just about every case. Our phones, our cars, our airplanes, our rocket ships, everything's using computers. We do all of our engineering work with computers and chemistry and everything else. And yet we don't have software to support our own technologies. Technologies are great, but we can't move forward. Anyway, I'll start out with number one. Every application has proprietary data structures, both intentional and unintentional. Means that we have I don't know of any company that publishes the format that your information is stored in, period. It's your information. They just decided, oh, we'll just hide it from the user so they cannot leave me. We have Word and Access and Oracle and AutoCAD and Excel and billions of other applications, and they're all intentional. Some are not intentional. These are your own internal data structures, or data structures that you just don't have access from your application, like all of the operating system values that you may or may not need. We need access to every single bit on our computer, irrelevant of its purpose. This is my hardware, and I should have access to it. And we should have complete control of our computers. Okay? The next thing in our software development is software is not accumulative. Every application is an independent. That's it. We start from ground one and try and represent reality by writing everything that is in an application. Hardware access is almost non-existent now. I mean, we don't really have direct access to our hardware, and all of the device drivers and everything else that we go through in our sub-device drivers, we don't have access to. So we're making assumptions on what they're doing, how they're accomplishing it. We have to go to extreme measures to get some of this information. And we make assumptions that they're actually working and working for us, not against us. Sharing of our own information is non-existent. We cannot share information from one application to another application. So we have isolated universes inside an application that none of that information can get out, not without extreme effort. Date, here's our technology. Date is a duration, which is the stupidest thing. We keep running out of dates. Y2K. Number is an application. Our hardware number representation is an application. It's not a technology. It means that we only have one form for our number. It's determined by the number of bits that gets assigned to it, and it just really doesn't work. It's all based upon human workmanship, craftsmanship to get this done. When in actuality, a number should be a number, irrelevant. We can do this. That's what bugs me, is these are just trivial. Third graders could come up with better designs than what we have in our current hardware technologies. We have no units. We work with numbers, and yet we have no idea what they are. We don't even know what units they're in. We don't know what they're for. We put a name on them, but name values are the next thing. Is we have name and value. That's it. We somehow leave it up to the human to try and figure out what the best name for something is, which is really not the thing we want to do. I'm called Cliff. Does that mean anything? No, it's just my name. It has nothing to do with me or what I do. And so it's that, so the name is not what we're interested in. And the value is useless if it's just a number. We don't know what that number represents. And everything we do on computers is literally a number. So our character is a number. 65 is an uppercase A. So our name value technology is our only technology for representing values. So you see databases and they're just name value. Oh, this column is age. Don't know what the age is. Don't know what it represents. Don't know what calendar they're using. We don't know anything. And so it's very, very, these are the things that fails. Operating systems. We only have one, which means that basically intentionally the operating systems decided they wouldn't build other operating systems. It's just software. We can do this. I mean, operating systems only run other applications. That's an easy enough application to build. There's some bytes, put it in memory and put the program counter in there. Change some relative bait. You know, it's not a huge effort. And yet, we only have a few trivial operating systems. No two applications can communicate. Means that our client server technology is really the worst technology you could even imagine. Basically because you're relying on trying to build something that communicates to somebody else who doesn't know what it is you're actually doing. So all of our cloud technologies, all of our websites with, we're having to write in 2 and 3 different languages because, we can't. Anyway, it's a nightmare. Anyway, so and just about everything we talk about, our device drivers are really is a different application from my application, and that's why we don't have access to our hardware. I can't really determine what that device driver is doing. Not absolutely. We make assumptions. Yes, it read the byte. Was it fast enough? I'd have to go in and do my own analysis on everything if we're writing applications. This is what I'm saying. Our whole software technology is based upon some person having to design every bit and byte within their own little world without access to other people that have already done something, like an editor, okay, or a compiler, or a spreadsheet, or all of these things which we know how to do, okay. So we don't do that. We only have one browser. Basically, they've designed this stupid HTML to do all kinds of stuff, but it's all hard-coded in one application that cannot be shared. So we can only have one, literally, application that can actually understand the format to put text lines and symbols on the screen. That's all we're doing. Actually, that's the easiest thing to do. But yet, we have this, if you want to, anyway, I won't get into all the details of this. I'm just trying to give you an overview of how bad our technology is. Compilers, okay. This is my last little gripe here, if you will, on how bad our technology. Compilers have extremely bad flow control. This is just one issue. We have, do I really want to try and explain these things to you? I'm just saying it's bad. It's so bad that I had to overcome. I'm writing my own compilers and my own operating. So basically, I'm writing a system to fix all these issues. So there are no borders between information. All information is shareable. all information is accumulative. All your logic is accumulative. Yeah, everything here is going to be resolved, along with about another 1,000 issues that we have with software. So our namespace that we use in our compilers is back to the name value. You pick a name, Cliff, or call it Bob, or call it, whatever. It really has no real meaning. We don't know what's in it. They say, well, the name's supposed to represent it. No, it doesn't. It can't. We don't know exactly the details. You can call it age. Well, now it's up to the human to say, well, that's a human age, because we're talking about, are we really? We don't know. If somebody else gives us the information, this is what I'm getting to. If you're going to share information, then you better build a system that is shareable, knowledge-wise. Because I guarantee you take any of these data sets out that exist out there today, and you pick it up, you have no idea what those things are. That's what I'm saying. The name doesn't really do it. I mean, you can take an employee record. You don't know all the subcodes and all the state tables and then the relationships of those tables. And those are all coded in SQL statements, which is really just another programming program which we don't have access to. But we need access to all that knowledge. Anyway, so all of our values are just numbers. That's all we deal with. Characters, we're at the character. Okay, 65, well that must be an A. 66 is a B, and so on. And and then we have case sensitive things, which is really the big issue, which is really stupid. But Gutenberg Bible, I guess, started this, and our typewriter, which, anyway. So we have no within our compiler, we have no access to the source code. What? Why not? One of the things I'd like to do is, allow the user to say, well, how was this calculated? How was this printed? And so I really need to know what statements actually produce that particular result. And we can do that. That's what I'm putting in, is making sure that we have access to all the internal structures. Functions produce assumptions. Basically, functions are groups of statements that are really designed for the human, so they can write a little piece of code, that some action that they can remember how to do for 5 minutes. After that 5 minutes is up, they're on to another issue and don't remember exactly why age was set to 12. Or should it have been? Should it have been 13? We have billions of decisions to make, and yet, so we really can't write software. We need better systems. We have within any compiler that we have, they're all identical, literally, Lisp and APL and assemblers and Fortran and COBOL, and they all have only 4 statements. They have a declaration. Oh, we'll declare our variables. Here's the name of it. And we might say that it's an integer or something. And then we have assignment statements. So it's an expression assign, age to be 12 somehow. And the syntax really is immaterial. Artificial intelligence saying, oh, well, if we make it verbal, then everybody will understand it. No, I'm sorry, it's not going to be that way. Go to the store and get some bread. Well, I won't deviate into artificial intelligence. To me, if it helps, great. If it doesn't help, we need to fix these things before we fix anything else, because otherwise we still have these issues, which is really the issues of capabilities that you need in your business to run it. Whether you're a hospital system or a school management system, you need complete access to the information that you own, that you create. Nobody else should have access to your employee numbers and your social security numbers and billions of other things, which you have no idea. We need to get the absolute security of our software and our hardware, especially our hardware, especially the hardware, because I tell you what, they talk about all the hacks and scams and things that are done with software. Hardware could do it so much easier. And why would you tell somebody would do that? If I'm another country, I wouldn't do it until I was at war. I wouldn't show you that, oh, We only know things when they happen. And if it never happens, we don't know that it could happen. So we need to really fix our hardware and our software, of course. Okay, we have no memory access technology, which means that the operating system has its own little memory down there, but we can't get to it. Not directly, not without a lot of effort. And between threads and processes and all of these different things, it's memory, it's values that we need. We need values out of all of our hardware. So we really don't have a very good, we actually have almost no memory technology at all. We have no formatting capabilities. We had the format statement in Fortran, and now we got, alert, and we have to somehow format it into, but this should all be built into the compiler. All of these things should be in I don't even know if we want to call it a compiler. I like to call it something that qualifies logic modules. So instead of us writing the statements, we just ask and qualify, I want a new compiler. Okay, I want it to be like JavaScript, but with a go-to statement. Yes, we can say that. We need a system that can do that, though. And then we can really extend our verbal representation. Actually, forms would be better, because if I said, okay, open a form that created me a compiler, then I would know all the options. But if I have to go out and read it somewhere, okay, well, I want the do statement and the while statement and we need verbal or textual entry is one thing, but we also need all the other representations to be just as equally or more powerful in a sense. And so we have no formatting, we have no multiple machine access. We have client server. Like I said, you cannot have two applications talk to each other. Not reliably, not efficient enough to do what everybody wants to do. We have to bend our logic to whatever your limitations are. And I guarantee you, your limitations, I don't like them. Anyway, those are the basically 12, top of my list, things we want to solve. Is to share, be cumulative. So we only write these things once for everybody, infinitely large, and no limits. We make sure that every piece of information is understood, and we can qualify every piece of knowledge. So we can say, we can give it the age, and the range is from 0 to, let's say, 200. But somebody else, we should be able to put all that knowledge that we actually know, instead of putting it in the source code, which is really ridiculous, which is why we can't change our software. That's why we have 3 versions of GPS, because they simply pick the number of bits. That's why Excel only has 1.1 million rows, is because they said, well, we'll just limit it to 20 bits, I think. And so these are just arbitrary numbers that somebody picked, and we should not have limitations like that on anything. Software does. We should write software. Right now we're just literally hobbled to a standstill in our software technology. Like I said, I have 50 years experience, and I'm spent the last 12 years trying to eliminate these. I figured if you're going to try and eliminate something, you need to know what the problem is. So I look at the issues of the cause of our failures, why our rocket ships blow up. Exactly. Not, yes, the 2 machines, the time wasn't set. That one hadn't booted up yet, and it already asked for the. Anyway, all of these trivial issues are just simply human fallacies. That's why I say humans can't really write software. We have to get it to computer. You do it, but not through. We want this on your machine, so nobody has control. You could be in Alaska. You could be on the moon, and have the same power. You don't need somebody else's software doing this for you. I want software for you so that you can qualify and build your own compilers, your own operating systems, your own school management systems, your own, air traffic control systems, flight control systems, self-driving cars, flying. I want to get to flying devices. I don't think they'll be cars. I think they'll just fly. We don't need roads. If the battery's powerful enough or some energy source is powerful enough, cars will go away. We won't need roads. And I think this will happen in 100 years, maybe 200. But hey, we need to build for the future, not this crap we're doing now, because that's where we want to go, the future. And so this is what I'm working on. Most of it's done. I'm just figuring out what the real issues are and fix them. And like I have about 1,000 issues, literally. But most of it, a lot of it's polish. But I figured polish is only polishing a turd. I don't care about the polish. We need to be able to have these capabilities of getting, one of the big things is getting information just into our own applications. That's really what the issue is. How do I get the value? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it automatically given to you. It's an assistant. So if you're a cook and you say, look, I'm going to cook a pineapple upside down cake, the assistant gets all the materials. All he needs to know is what you're doing. What are you going to do? Yeah, I'm going to make it up. Well, and then, he brings the bowl, he puts a spoon in your hand or whatever. He opens all the packages for you and dumps them in there for you and whatever. And and then the assistant lets you put in the salts and the spices or whatever you want to, that's his job. The assistant, which is the computer, should do its job. So anyway, well, thank you. And hopefully this, maybe we can get there. Thank you very much. Bye now.